Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video is a Black Library review. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at one of the many publications brought out by Black Library and giving you our thoughts on the book, audio drama, whatever it happens to be. Now, I will say that we will try to keep this review to as spoiler free as possible, though there will obviously be points where we talk about things happening in the book. We will try to keep away from saying any of the major plot points, so you can go and read this book for yourself. We'll just give you our thoughts on whether or not we think it is something you may be interested in. So we'll use this video to instruct you on maybe is this sort of going to be a book that you would like to see. With that all said and out the way, let's get cracking on. Let's talk a little bit about the book that we have reviewed this time. In today's Black Library review, we're going to be checking out Gothgul Hollow, one of Black Library's Warhammer horror novel stories. The first horror story I've read, or rather listened to, from Black Library. As always, I listen to everything on Audible. I like to listen to Black Library stuff while I do some painting, do some modelling and all of that. This one is written by Anna Stephens, and I haven't actually read anything by Anna Stephens before. This is the first time I'm reading anything by her, though I do have another Anna Stephens story lined up next. It's also narrated by Helen Keeley, who I have heard and does amazing readings. I really enjoyed her in her reading of Spirits of the Emperor by Aaron Dembski-Bowden. She really does have quite a lot of range in her voices to bring a ton of characters to life, and she does once again do a really solid job here of bringing all the different characters to life. She's able to do both male and female voices really well. It really brings an immersion to the story that I think would be lacking with anyone else. She just is really good. She's without a doubt one of my favourite readers on Audible that I have listened to. I love everything she does. And so, setting the scene, as I said, this is one of the horror series. So, The Hollow, a little town in Shaiish, is plagued by the state of sinister manifestations. In that town, there's the Gothgul family. Adria is one of our characters, and her father, Arik. They are some of the last nobility within the town, and there's a lot of secrets going on in that family that need to be uncovered and told and found out between all of them on different parts, and sort of the trust between the family sort of come out in order for them to, I guess, deal with these sinister manifestations as they really become a major issue for the town of the Hollow. And that's pretty much what our story is all about, trying to uncover these weird manifestations. What are they? What's happening? What's going on? And what does their family have to do with it? So, the book's purpose. It shows us a really great look into the dark and terrifying life of the general denizen of Shaiish, a general person. It really does show us how dark and nasty Shaiish is, Shaiish being the realm of death. It also does set up for some more stories later down the line, and I would say nothing more than this, than that the ending, once you get there, is truly something awesome, especially if you're long-term readers of Black Library. Yeah, it just does a really good job. It has some really cool, interesting aspects to it that I don't think work so well in your regular sort of stories. This horror sort of aspect allows it to look into different parts of the aspect of Warhammer that are really interesting. And also, it has some other sort of stories going on that you don't normally see within your general Black Library story. I think there's some really cool parts to this. And so, onto the main characters. We have 4 of them in this story, though one of them is quite clearly our standout main character, and the majority of the story does focus around Adria Gothgul, and most things are from her point of view. She is a Shaiishan sorceress, and she is the daughter of Arik, who is another one of our main characters. He's a former war hero of the Bone Splinter War, and some other things as well. He's just a former soldier in retirement after some war wounds took their toll. We then have Runar Skulldafran, which is the second character you can see pictured there with his nice long rifle. He's a sharpshooter, gun for hire. Early in the book, he's brought in to deal with the situation, which quickly becomes much too much for him. And lastly, we have Tiberius, a priest of Sigmar, and Adria's uncle, but not really her actual uncle, more that sort of uncle character that many of us probably have, that sort of has been around your family so much you just consider them an uncle. They're like your father's best friend, and they're pretty much, you know, like a brother to your father, so they're your uncle. And for those main characters, what does change over the course of the book? So I guess there's a tiny bit of spoilers ahead. You've had your chance now to look away. I've said that, but there's not really much. I try to keep these as spoiler-free as possible. For those in the Gothgul family, so that is Arik, her uncle, and Edria herself, they have to open up and pretty much spill the beans on what happened on her mother's and her mother's birth night when Edria was born, why her mother is dead, what all this has happened. As the story sort of comes out, we have to sort of see the characters learn to trust one another as the story sort of comes out, which is really, really cool. And there's a lot to come out. For Edria and Runar, there's a much more intimate relationship between the two, and an emotional journey we sort of go along as the two characters become quite deeply intertwined with each other, which I think is a really nice touch. This is a horror story, but also we get that nice little love angle. I haven't really seen a nice love angle in a story done like this. Although I've seen a couple recently, there's not an awful lot, and it's nice to see these styles of stories added into Black Library. We've got, obviously, we had some hints at a love story in God's Bane by Dale Lucas, though not really a true sort of story. I haven't seen a real sort of linked love story or linked sort of romantic relationship in this since probably Callus and Told the Silver Shard with Shev and Callus. In that, which was really cool. And this is sort of the same thing with, like, you know, a relationship, proper relationship, a loving relationship, potentially. Who knows where we are by the end of the book. But it's nice seeing that sort of relationship built within a story of Warhammer. What does this book do well? And I think really one thing this book does well, and it so stands out, is the character progression. You have 4 main characters that change so heavily throughout the book, and multiple times. The characters sort of have this nice, fantastic ebb and flow, pulls and zigs and zags throughout the entire cast of main characters, and even some of the secondary characters as well. I really, really enjoy it. This book, like, the characters of this are so deep and interesting, and by the end of it you know them so well, which is just fantastic. Seeing like a story where all the characters get pulled so well is just great. On top of this, the ending of this story, those last couple of paragraphs, I was so hooked on, and I was giddy like a little schoolgirl after reading them. I think once you get to the end of this story, if you're like me, a long time Warhammer fan, you will know why. And so, well, let's talk in summary. This was a nice first introduction into Warhammer Horror. I really enjoyed it. It was a different take to Warhammer that I haven't listened to before, and also this is the first thing I've ever listened to or read by Anna Stevens. This was really enjoyable. It definitely had its ups and downs. I think, for me, the third quarter of the book was probably not quite as engaging as the rest. It maybe lingered in certain parts a little bit too long, but the first half and definitely that ending sequence of the book were absolutely fantastic. And regardless, this book was held aloft by fantastic character progression regardless. Now, this is going to be apparently a 4-part series. So this is the first of 4 books by Anna Stevens for these characters. And that gets me really hopeful, because a lot was done to build up these characters. I can forgive anything in this book with the build up and the creation of these 4 characters really making me enjoying them. I think there's going to be a lot to have in the next couple of books. Like, I think the groundwork has been set up really well for those later books in the series. This was really enjoyable. A definite 7 out of 10 for me. Gothgul Hollow was a great first introduction to both Anna Stevens and Warhammer Horror. And so that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and drop us a comment down below letting us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come help support the channel in another way, you can do so either by joining our Patreon or YouTube members, or grabbing some channel merch off our merch store on Teespring, which is on our YouTube store as well. You can also come chat with me and other members of our little community here and our Discord server, which is linked down in the video's description, along with the Patreon and YouTube members links. And as a special shout out to all those Patreons and YouTube members, we'd like to give them all a shout out. So thank you to our Patreons, Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Derek, and Giapi390. And a special thank you to our YouTube members, Greenroost Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Locke Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Sean Scott, Pink Nico Fire, and Robin Mankiller as well. Lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel, and to everyone who comes on the channel and helps us create everything we do. Thank you all for watching once again, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the great. Ciao for now.